Hello you two, this is your science lesson, and the first lesson is about living and non-living things and their environment. The word environment means where they live, so not all of the animals, not all of the plants are at the same place. Sometimes you can find animals, like if you forget about this picture now, if you think of animals that live in the desert. So we have the camel that lives in the desert, but you cannot find, maybe you don't find, say cats living in the desert, or dogs living in the desert, yeah? Or crocodiles living in the desert. So the crocodile, the penguin, it will never live in the desert or even live around us here. It has to live where it's so cold. So not every animal would live in the same place. Same for plants. Some plants are underwater plants that you find only underwater. Some trees you find in some countries. Other countries you'll find different trees. Some flowers are in places, other places have different flowers, and so on. So even the plants are not at the same place, like not every place has the same plants. So it's saying here, look for animals and plants. It's first saying, where can you find animals and plants? I think everywhere you find animals and plants. It's saying, look for animals and plants around your school. Where can you find them? At our school, you'll only find the only plants we have are trees, animals, maybe some birds, maybe some insects. I'm not sure. I didn't see insects before, but maybe you did. I don't know. Anyway, this boy here, Raj, he found these animals and plants living in the school pond. So you're going to look at these pictures. You're going to look at these pictures, and these are some plants. Water lettuce, it's a kind of a plant that lives in water. Water lilies is this other plant. Okay, these are for the plants. Animals, terrapin is a kind of a crocodile, not crocodile, sorry, turtle. Guppies are kind of fish. We have frogs, they live also in ponds. Tadpoles, of course you remember that tadpoles are small frogs. And dragonflies live around the ponds. So here, I'll read what's written here. It's saying, the place where a living thing lives is called its habitat. So the habitat is where anything lives, a plant or an animal. A pond is an example of a habitat. So a pond is a place where things live. The environment, okay, I'm here. The environment refers to the surroundings of the living things. The pond is a wet environment. It is bright during the day when the sun shines. So the environment means the things that are around you. So your environment means everything around you. So whatever's around you here, the weather, if it's hot or cold, if it's windy, if it's rainy, whatever, the trees, everything around you is part of the environment. So here in this pond, the pond is part of the environment. So these animals and plants live in a wet environment. They don't live in a dry environment. They live in a wet environment. And let's read what Raj is saying. These animals and plants live in a wet environment. They would die if we put them in a dry environment. So say if I get a frog and put him in the desert, and the desert is a very dry and hot environment, he will die. Tadpoles are the same. These plants are the same, and so on. They can't live in a dry environment. So that was page 82 and 83. Let's go to page 84. So these are different animals that live in a different environment. So let's read what this page is saying, 84. So it's saying some animals live underground in the soil. The soil provides the animals with a warm, dark, and moist environment. So these animals live underground, and underground will be warm. It's not hot, it's not cold. It's dark. If you remember, the pond is not dark, it shines during the day. And this one is moist. Moist means it's not wet and it's not dry, okay? Aisha here, this girl, found these small animals living in the soil in the garden. These are all insects, and these are insects, the earthworm and the ants, termites, millipedes. These are all insects that live underground. And not all of the insects, of course, live underground, because you have the flies, they don't live underground. We have many insects that don't live underground, bees, stuff like that. Okay, what would happen if we put these animals in a pond? What do you think will happen if we put these animals in a pond? As we said about the other animals, if we put them, the animals that live in the pond, if we put them in a dry place, they will die. So I think if we put ants or worms or millipedes or whatever in the pond, they will also die. Yeah? Okay, let's go to page 85. This is a different environment. Okay, so Lily, the girl here, Lily saw that some animals and plants live on trees. Trees provide a shady and dry environment during the day. So shady means there is shade, like it's not sunny, so it's taking away the sun, it's making sure that it's preventing the sun. Like when you have a shadow, remember, you block the sun, so the trees are blocking the sun, okay, and it's a dry environment. This environment has bees here, birds, bats. Orchid plant is this plant that has the flowers, and fern is another plant, okay? So let's read what Lily's saying. Would these animals and plants be able to live in a pond or underground in the soil? You think a bird will live underground or a bat will live in the soil? I don't think so. So she's saying different habitats have different environments. These affects the kinds of animals and plants that live there. So as we said before, the environment around you can make you, it makes it easy for the plant or the animal to live, or if it's living, if an animal or a plant is living in an environment that is hard for it to live, it may die. So if you get a dolphin and get it outside the water, it will die. If you get a penguin to Egypt, it will die as well. So I'll pause this video to just get your workbook so you